Hey everyone, thanks so much for waiting through that commercial break. We now have Debbie back on the line. We know we had a little bit of a technical glitch here, but Debbie, you have a question. Fire away.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, and I appreciate y'all for hosting this. And I appreciate the guest being there. Well, I wanted to say something first is most of the people in Montgomery County know that there's a state law against annexation anymore. And that is exactly what this consolidation would allow them to be able to do, is to annex property. But I believe it's Mr. Yates stated that if services were provided, 60% of the people in the area would have to vote to pass it, and then they would actually have a budget set up and know what the cost would be and be able to make a logical decision. Would you both maybe comment on the fact that this charter that has been written up has absolutely no budget? So you really believe in blindly walking into a charter or pushing your citizens into a charter that you have absolutely no idea how much it's going to cost? Because if you had the budget, you would have put it there. I'm presuming, but I'll let y'all go from there. Thank you.
I would just respond to that and say that there's no budget in the current charter for Montgomery County, nor the current charter for the city of Clarksville. There wasn't a budget when our forefathers wrote the Constitution of the United States. There wasn't a budget when the state of Tennessee adopted their Constitution. That is, a budget is a process of the government that's in place. What we're talking about here is a new government, and that new government would be tasked with creating a budget that we would then approve via our votes. And so I think to me, the new government that gets created in the charter comes with a mandate from the citizens that passed the charter that we want smaller government, lower taxes, and more efficiency in government. Less cost, less spending. Anybody that runs for county mayor or the commission that didn't run with that thought process wouldn't get elected. It's just inherent in the process. This is a new government. It's not county versus city, city versus county. It's a new government.
Hank, do you want to respond to annexation?
Yes, I think that one of the main failures of this charter is that it does not lay out a transition plan to transition from the two smaller governments into one large government. It doesn't lay out the cost. It doesn't have anything in there other than if the costs exceed what the county and the city budgets can afford, they will raise taxes. To me, that's asking somebody to buy a house without knowing a cost. And I don't think anybody would do that.
Hank, the charter doesn't say that taxes would be raised if under the transition. The charter actually says that the first year cost of the new government can't be more than the combined cost of the prior governments. And so that's the starting point. And then there's a 2-year transition period. There's another piece of the transition. If this charter passes, then there's a transition committee that's created that will do that work. That's the way state government lays out the charter and the function of that. If it's passed, then the transition committee will put the governments together. But the first year budget cannot be more than what the prior year of the combined budgets of the two entities were. So that's the starting point. The starting point with a new budget is zero. What an opportunity. We get to hold our government accountable and tell them to start with zero. To me, if the new mayor doesn't campaign on, I am going to cut costs by 5%, he's not going to get my vote. That's something we don't have now because our politicians don't have the political courage to do that within our current structure. They will have the courage to do that in the future structure because it's new and it will be expected.
The charter definitely says, when it talks about the cost of transition, that if the county and city budgets cannot meet the cost of transition, then it can be raised through taxes. It definitely says that in the section on taxes. And given that we don't know the cost, how do we know how much taxes are going to go up?
I would just, after this, provide me that site so I can understand.
Okay, I will.
I appreciate that.
I'll look for it during the commercial. I'll show it to you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Mike on 2. Hey, Mike, can you hear us?
Budget right now.
Hey, Mike, are you there? Mike? Oh, looks like we lost Mike. All right, Mike, call back in and we will take your questions. Yes, is he still there or no? It looks like oh, he might be on 2. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Hey, Mike, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Sorry about that. Punched the wrong button there. What's your question?
So I'm a property owner in Montgomery County, and I'm just really confused by the no on consolidation movement. They have all these wild conspiracy theories about taxes going up and so on and so forth, but anybody who lives in Montgomery County and anybody who has read this charter knows firsthand that the charter doesn't say anything about raising taxes. Anybody who knows anything about government knows that 2 governments would cost a lot more than 1 government. And this charter explicitly states, the gentleman who says he's against consolidation, this charter explicitly states that there would be term limits, that there are new protections against annexation. We say that the state law now says that there can't be annexation, but everyone knows there's loopholes because there's headlines in the Leap Chronicle about annexation going on right now to this day. So my problem with the no on government consolidation folks is that if they want to be against government consolidation, if they want more government, if they don't want term limits for the politicians, if they want to keep letting the city raise our taxes without any checks whatsoever from the people who live in the county, then they need to start citing some facts. Because to this point, the only thing I see from the no on consolidation people are a bunch of wild conspiracy theories.
Okay, so what is your actual question, sir?
My question is where can you prove to me that taxes are going up if consolidation passes? Where can you prove that?
Okay, empirical evidence from the
empirical evidence. No.
Of the 30.
No,
I let you finish, sir. I let you finish, sir. I let you finish. Of the 30 other consolidations that have happened in the United States out of 3,065 counties, and the results there of consolidation. Secondly, there's no conspiracy theories. It's logic, it's common sense, it's reading the charter and reading looking for things in the charter that aren't there.
The charter, sir? Because you say you've read the charter, but I don't think you have. Because if you had, then you would know that it creates term limits. You would know that it's less government, not more government. You would know that simple math would dictate that 2 governments and all the duplicated services along with 2 governments would cost more than 1 government. And you would know that the city of Clarksville continues to raise sales taxes at any given time that they want to, and people who live in the county are subject to pay those sales taxes, and there's nothing that we can do in the county to stop those sales taxes from going up.
Well, first of all, the city cannot just raise sales taxes arbitrarily. There's a limit set by the state that they cannot exceed.
Yeah,
and we are at, again, I let you finish, I let you finish, I let you finish.
Yeah, but you
I let you finish.
That's the problem.
Sir, I let you, okay.
Hey, Mike, please let's not talk over them. If you ask a question, we need to let them respond, or I'm going to hang up.
Obviously read all the flyers, believe the flyers, and there's nothing I can say to you that's going to convince you differently. If you want to see the proof, if you want to see the differences, go to our Facebook page and look at our files. We have studies in there.
File.
Okay.
Sir, you just said that the state limits how much the city can raise taxes, and that's true until the point where the city petitions the state to either change the charter or raise taxes. They do it all the time. I'm aware of it.
No, they don't do it all the time.
The city does it. Yes, they do, sir.
May I make a comment?
Sure. Go ahead, Bob.
Hank's a good man, okay? What I would say about the empirical data, I've also read studies. I've read the studies of Louisville and Lexington, and since those charters have been enacted, that those metropolitan governments have been put in place, their tax rates have actually decreased over time. Their governments are smaller. They have less government employees than they did before consolidation. Their cost of government is less. The employees do make more per person, but there are less people. And so Louisville and Lexington are resounding successes of charters. So it's not every consolidation.
Well, I have a study here from right here that I'll be glad to give to you that shows, and it's from the Allegheny Institute, and it talks about merging governments, lessons from Louisville, Indianapolis, and Philadelphia. And it says the opposite about Louisville. So, I mean, it depends how you want to look at it. It depends on a lot of different factors.
And I will say
that's
this.
what that study says.
We'll agree to disagree on the studies and the empirical data. I think we would agree that all government boils down to leadership, and leadership is what can make a difference in government. And we have a chance to turn over leadership in government with this consolidation. And I'm not saying that as a lead into anything, but I think most of those studies, when you read them, they're biased one way or the other, and we can find points that we both like in them. And most of them will wind up by saying, you know, all this is a panacea unless you have good, effective leadership. And so that would be my point about studies. Leadership is critical to the success of any government.
Well, thank you both for responding. We're going to head to the break, and we have 2 callers who are on the line, so stay with us and we will answer their questions after this break.